We did our project on infrared cameras and telescopes. Let's begin with the history of the infrared and infrared cameras. The infrared began when Sir William Herschel discovered it in the 1800s. Before that time, the world had never been able to see anything beyond the visible rays of light. From that point, Galileo made the thermoscope, which did not measure temperatures but instead just detected it. After these discoveries, the military took off with the idea of the infrared and utilized it in combat. With this tool, they were able to see their enemies when it was dark outside because of the camera's ability to sense temperature. Then, very recently, in the 1990s, a higher resolution plane of arrays was introduced, and the cameras were able to detect rays with even more accuracy. Now anybody could purchase an infrared camera at a relatively reasonable pricing of about $400 to $1,000. The mechanics of the infrared camera is rather simple. It begins with a special lens that brings the infrared light and brings in the rays to the structures within the camera. Those light rays are then scanned by the thermogram, which recognizes the differences of temperatures in the rays. The thermogram passes on the information through electrical impulses that are then processed to display the various colors of temperature. The spots with the highest temperatures being red and orange, while the lowest temperature being blue and green. Infrared cameras have many other uses than just in the field of astronomy. For example, when fighting fires, the men use a drone that has a controlled infrared camera attached. With this camera, the firefighters are able to see through the smoke and detect what is inside of the burning building. This discovery was found in Manchester and is still used, as it is extremely helpful. Another practical use for infrared cameras is in law enforcement. These men and women are able to manage surveillance activities by seeing through the dark with these infrared cameras and locate their suspects. In addition, those in law enforcement can utilize infrared cameras to investigate crime scenes and to apply in search and rescue missions. Furthermore, infrared cameras are used in other ways besides in various occupations. One example would be by the new Surface Pro 3 manufactured by Microsoft. This device will have an infrared camera implemented in the front of the tablet, which will allow for facial recognition. This new idea has never been done before and will allow for keeping one's tablet locked unless they are the ones who unlock it. Infrared cameras are also being used to study the Earth, especially with geographical aspects. One area of study is with measuring the temperatures of the oceans and what areas have warmer and cooler areas, as well as measuring the differences in temperature and weather between day and night. Lastly, the infrared cameras can be used to study warm-blooded animals, especially in how they use their fur or feathers to keep themselves warm. These biologists can also study where different warm-blooded animals keep their warmth mostly located, and they can look at the differences between cold-blooded and warm-blooded animals. Some common questions associated with the infrared and infrared cameras are, where can I purchase an infrared telescope for backyard use? Unfortunately, you can't because it just isn't realistic for one to buy one of those infrared telescopes for their personal use. Also, infrared telescopes function much better without as much interference from the Earth's atmosphere. Why can't I use commercially available infrared film to photograph astronomical objects with an amateur telescope? You actually can. Which observatories are able to observe the near-infrared light accessible from the ground? Theoretically, any infrared telescope on the ground can detect this near-infrared light when placed on high mountains with an extremely dry climate. Is it true that infrared astronomy can be done from airplanes? Yes. When an infrared camera or telescope is in an airplane, much of the Earth's atmosphere does not interfere. Therefore, infrared astronomy is possible in airborne telescopes. Why do we build spaceborne infrared satellites? Here, we are able to surpass 85% of the Earth's atmosphere and almost all of the water vapor, which is extremely problematic to infrared light as it absorbs it. Which infrared observatories are operating in space currently? There are 4 currently functioning space telescopes: the Spitzer, Hubble, ISO, and Herschel. All are bringing back remarkable data. What are some other infrared telescopes used in space before? The IRTS, MSX, and WIRE have all previously been infrared space telescopes. Are electronic infrared detectors similar to devices used in military applications? Yes, the telescopes used in infrared detectors today is all thanks to research completed through the military, as they were the first to discover the use of infrared cameras. Where are the largest infrared telescopes? They are located in Mauna Kea, Hawaii, where the elevation is about 14,000 feet. Here, there is minimal absorption of infrared rays. These are some sources that we used for our presentation. Thanks for watching.